Hello everyone, this is day 28, 29, one of the two. Yeah, I should probably know the dates of the days that I'm doing for this daily update video, but skipping those 2 days really didn't do me any favors on that front. But today we have, well, that aside, today we have something cool to discuss, I guess, and that is, did my 24-hour YouTube challenge that I set for myself at the end of last video, did that pan out the way that I wanted it to? And so, probably there was a bit of a groundbreaking discovery that I made during these 24 hours, and I was kind of able to fulfill that goal of going 24 hours without needing to constantly check in on my YouTube and scrolling through feeds mindlessly. And so I think that was a pretty good thing. There was a bit of rule bending, which I kind of did, which I guess does not help my cause. However, that led to a strategy that I think that I'll be able to beat. That will help me beat my procrastination problems in future. And so I guess we can start from the beginning of the day. So I began the day with like fiery willpower, and I was like, oh, like, yes, let's get this 24 hours done. Well, at least that's how I thought I was gonna be. But I woke up, almost instinctively opened YouTube, and I actually did. Like, I opened it onto the homepage without even like knowing, and that's kind of scary to think that my habits have become so subconscious that I've just kind of opened YouTube without thinking. Hopefully, I'm able to switch that from opening YouTube to opening a study book, my textbook, reading a book, like stuff that's gonna actually help me and make me more knowledgeable, rather than YouTube scrolling and looking for the next good content. And so the morning was a bit of a struggle. It was like I constantly had an itch that I had to scratch, and that itch was, of course, or the temptation was having being on my phone and my iPad and not being able to touch that beautiful rectangular white and red play button to open the YouTube app. I ended up deleting it off my iPad, but obviously that doesn't prevent me, because I actually did have done that before. And what I did instead was I actually moved onto the web page browser, because I thought that because it was less intuitive and less attuned to an iOS, like the browser experience was not attuned for the iOS viewer, I guess, that would kind of disengage me. So then I eventually use it less and less, and eventually stop relying on it. But what actually ended up happening in practice was that I just got used to the web page, and so it just became my new norm. And honestly, going back onto the app was actually kind of worse than the web page, because the web page, the ads I found were like a bit less, and so going onto the app and having to adjust back to 2 unskippable 10-second ads was a bit of a pain, because you can't like just reload the page and then try again like I did with my browser. So yeah, that wasn't so great. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that no matter if I delete the app or not, it wasn't going to make a difference. So this is all about sheer willpower and determination. And so we passed the beginning few hours. I ended up just, because it was I only said YouTube challenge only, so my mind was making up all these excuses. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go on Instagram then. So I went on Instagram for a bit longer than usual. And then so I went on, I don't know, I kept opening my Uber Eats app for some reason. It's like when you're not even hungry, but you just check the fridge to see if there's, or you just constantly check the fridge to see if there's anything new in there, but each time you're greeted with the exact same thing. That's kind of what happened with me opening my Uber Eats app. It was like that fridge, you know, just like lifting the lid and hoping for a surprise, like maybe a few extra dollars in there, but of course, no new money. And that might have been formed because one day I just opened my thing and there was 500 extra dollars and I was like, ooh, you know, keep it coming. But yeah, obviously that promotion's over. And so that phase of my, I guess, my company exploitation of promotions career kind of ended. So yeah, I should probably delete those apps, to be honest. Then I was thinking about doing Reddit, but I was kind of bored. And then I looked on the anime page. Like, what this can be basically summed up by is that I just looked around for things that I could occupy myself with instead of on YouTube, basically. And I'm lucky I don't have TikTok, because if I re-downloaded TikTok, this would have been over. Like, there would be no point to this challenge because TikTok is probably even more addictive than YouTube. Well, in my opinion, I use YouTube more, but that's only because I like the longer form content. But TikTok itself really appeals to your dopaminergic circuits. And so it really gets your brain circuits firing. And so if I had downloaded TikTok, you know, there would have been no point because I would have just procrastinated the entire day and not done anything. And so we come into midday and I decide that I'm going to go swimming. So, yep, me, my mom and dad all go out to swim. I bring my phone, but don't worry, I'm not going to watch YouTube on the car or while I'm at the swimming pool. I was kind of tempted because the thing is, I wanted to know how to do a tumble turn again in swimming because mine are kind of just like really all over the place and not really that predictable. So I kind of just winged it, I guess you could say. And so I really wanted to know how to do a proper tumble turn. And I didn't really... But yeah, I fought that urge off and I didn't watch YouTube. So that was good. So swimming's over. I'm all nice and tired, you know. I was doing a lot of butterfly today. And God, I can't even... Lifting my arms was a pain after that session. So yeah, tomorrow I was going to plan on going swimming as well. But I kind of forfeited that plan after I got called in for an 8-hour shift. So first 8-hour shift. So that might be tomorrow's episode. Just kind of looking at me doing a 9-hour shift, actually, from 9 to 6. So a bit more than what a normal full day work is like for someone. And so that'll be pretty interesting. So look out for that. But going back onto the topic, we come back from swimming and I see a message from one of my good friends. And so he's basically talking about... I had responded to him about an economic subject. And this person is quite a stubborn person. And I guess it's my fault because I am still not knowledgeable enough to communicate my points well. But this person isn't really flexible with their thinking. And so I basically had to do a deep dive research to try and convince him of my point. And so I ended up going down this rabbit hole of quantitative easing, bond markets, and standard some other things like the interest rate fallacy and stuff like that, which I'm really interested in talking about. So in a future episode, I might also talk about that, even though it might be a bit boring and not part of our content. But I went down that rabbit hole, and then needless to say, I made a bit of a boo-boo, a bit of a mistake, if you will. I opened YouTube to watch some podcasts. Not kind of like podcasts, but also kind of like a talk show, like an hour-long talk show, kind of. And I also shamelessly went to watch a short, like a YouTube short, and it was this K-pop dance, which I don't know. It was from a song that was actually pretty banging, but I was talking to a friend about it, so I just wanted to go see it again because the dance was pretty cool. And so that's another strike off, I guess. That's the main strike, but the talk shows and podcasts I'm a bit hesitant to call as a failure because I was learning, and I justified that by actually making notes. So I got things done technically, but I was just using YouTube's video format as a guide for me to be able to further enhance and enrich my education. And so, does it really count? Did I really fail? Yeah, probably. I mean, if we're talking about solely going off YouTube for 24 hours, yes, I did fail. And I guess, is that a bad thing? No, I actually don't think so. And I'll tell you why now. I spent about 2 hours watching through podcasts and not like entertainment stuff. So it was actually pretty educational for me in terms of my view towards the macroeconomic environment that we're currently in, and to see if we're in danger out, because I want to form my own opinion on the macroeconomic environment. And so I want to know if we're like in for impending doom in the economy, or if, we'll be all right for a few years. So this research kind of contributes to that. And that also contributes technically to my life goal, one of which was getting wealthy. And how that matters is that if there's a crash incoming and I foresee that, then I can plan around it and get rich off of it. So I guess this is all one very long excuse as to why I failed this challenge. But I think something good came out of it. And that was that this is a way that I can combat my procrastination. And what I mean by that is that I can use YouTube videos as a medium of education. And in order for me I could maybe set a rule that every time I do that, I have to make notes on it. So then I actually I can reconsolidate my knowledge whenever I want to, and I'm not just consuming content for the sake of consuming content. So I'm actively learning. And so this has kind of given birth to a new strategy, because obviously I felt regret from failing the challenge, but I also felt like I studied as well. I studied while satisfying my urge to watch YouTube videos. So like by the end of the challenge, I felt regret because I thought I had failed, but in reality, it's kind of just education, right? And the fact that I felt like I failed, I guess, is also an indicator to me that this strategy of me consuming this content to things that are specific and relevant to me, that will educate me consuming that content on YouTube is actually a good thing, because I can use my addiction to YouTube to actually learn things. And so that's pretty powerful. And taking notes is also is kind of the second part, because most 3/4 of the time, I would say, I use YouTube for education, except it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then the next second I forget it. So the fact that I'm note-taking and I can come back to consolidate this knowledge if need be, to say, like, explain to someone or teach to someone, like in a future video that I might make, then I can reconsult my notes, and then I can actually get that knowledge into my head, into the long-term memory instead of the short-term. And then so I can increase my knowledge about things. And so this is my secret weapon that I'm going to use, actually, now that I think about it. This is probably my greatest weapon to defeat my YouTube addiction. And that's taking notes whilst watching YouTube for education. I think that is my plan from now on. And so what started as a challenge of willpower and to see if I could beat my addiction has now turned into giving me a secret weapon against it, and for me to be able to continue on that track of not procrastinating on YouTube and other things for that matter. Like, I'm not sure how I would do that with Instagram, or Reddit. Or actually, Reddit you can use for a lot of educational things as well. But yeah, I'm going to apply this strategy to YouTube and update you guys as to how it goes over this next week. And hopefully I can learn a bunch of new stuff. And so that is the conclusion of my video. That is what I learned from this 24-hour challenge. Will I do it again? I mean, I guess because I didn't really do it in the first place, and I kind of bent the rules a tiny bit. But who cares, you know? It's my life. I get to choose what I do with it, and even if you guys say that it doesn't count to the few people that watch my videos, I still think it does. So anyway, see you later. Tomorrow, this is actually New Year's Eve, so I'll see you guys tomorrow for a New Year's special. Goodbye, everyone, and yeah, actually, it was a pretty good year this year, and so I hope next year I can continue this series. Maybe not daily, but I want to continue this series, continue my YouTube channel, hopefully blow up one day. And yeah, 2021 was a good year, but I'm going to make 22 even better. All right, goodbye.